Welcome to Studio B 2026. We are live and back at you, man. We wish you guys a happy, prosperous new year 2026. 2025 was one for the books, good, bad, and or different. Everyone's got to make that decision. But man, I am thankful to be on the front side of a brand new year, brand new possibilities, brand new opportunities that are ahead of all of us. So I want to thank you guys for all of you that you've done for this podcast over the last 5 years, taking us over the 100,000 subscriber mark, tuning in every time an episode drops. Remember that you need to go ahead and click that bell somewhere around this screen and click notifications so that every time a brand new video drops, you will be notified and you can tune in and like and share and comment and all those other wonderful, wonderful things. So what is 2026 going to look like? Well, let's tell you about 2026. It is going to be one for the record books. The theme of my life this year is success favors the prepared. Success favors the prepared. And here's what I found. Everybody wants to be successful, but few people have a plan to be successful. And success is never by accident. Name me one person that you know or heard of that's successful by accident. Can't name me not one. Name me one physically fit person that is physically fit without a process. Name me one person that is financially independent and or stable that does not have a process. Success favors the prepared. And so many people are talking about the coulda, shoulda, wouldas of life and living in the rear view of their life in 2026. And as you look back on 365 days and judge yourself accordingly, were you successful? Unfortunately, many people are going to roll 2025 into 2026, make a whole bunch of grandiose resolutions that have no structure, processing, or plans around it, only to end up in the exact same place at December the 31st, 2026, that they ended December the 31st, 2025. Because we don't understand processes. You can live in the moment, but it's best that you prepare for the future. Right. And so what is 2026 going to look like? Here at Studio B, there are processes and protocols that we're going to do. Like there are going to be some things that we're going to do this year that are going to be out of the box. There's going to be some things that we're going to take some risk on. There's going to be some things that we're going to try. There's going to be some things that we're going to implement. And by God's grace, it'll either take off or it'll flop. But here's what I tell the congregation, my children, my wife, and anybody that's around me. If you don't take risk, you will work for the person who did. Taking risk is part of the experience of life. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But if you put processes and protocols and plans in place to help you achieve said goal, there's a high probability that it will work rather than not work. So success favors the prepared. Listen to me, all of you out there. You need to go to your nearest garbage can and throw every excuse that you got in it of why you're not successful, why you're not financially free, why you're not where you're supposed to be or where you want to be, why you're not living the way that you want to live, why you're not driving what you want to drive. You need to take every single excuse and throw them in the trash can. Because your life this year is going to depend on the amount of effort that you put into your life. This is not a genie in a Bible and out comes a blessing. Nope, nope, and nope. The Bible tells us to go and consider the way of the ant, you sluggard. It gathers in the summertime because it knows winter is coming. And so when you look at your life in 2026, this is a blurb. This is a quick shot in the arm for you to get off of your hind part and get engaged in life so that you can live the life that you keep watching other people live on TV. And let me just drop a couple of other bombs on you so that you know it's going to be bomb dropping season this year. Stop asking God, stop praying to God for God to give you discipline. That is a prayer that God will never, ever, ever, ever answer. Period, point blank, end of discussion. Discipline, my friend, is on your part. You got to do push-aways if you want to lose weight. You got to put the fork down. The discipline is on your part. If you want to become financially free, financially independent, financial independence does not come apart from discipline. You got to tell yourself no more than you tell yourself yes. The discipline is on your part, not on God's part. But God blesses discipline. God blesses discipline. And so you're here now, second week of January 2026. 2 weeks have come and gone just like that. Just like that. 2 weeks, gone. 52 weeks in a year, 2 weeks of that 52 have been snatched away from you. Done, gone. How much movement have you made in 2 weeks? Now, you think about this in your own personal space. And listen, I am tired of individuals who live and die by their excuses. Like, we just got to do better. We just got to do better. We got to stop laying an excuse at the foot of everything that we don't achieve. And we got to stop pointing the fingers when we don't have what we say that we want to have. There is a passage, and I believe I said it on this podcast before, and I say this not in hyperbole. I say this in reality, that when revelation of this particular scripture really opened up in my life, it really did change how I viewed my responsibility and God's responsibility, what God was responsible to do and what I was responsible to do. And that passage is in John chapter number 11. It's a familiar passage, and I want to go through it really quickly in this first podcast of 2026, because it's going to help you to understand your responsibility in your life. Your responsibility, not the government's responsibility, not what Trump is doing, not what the Senate is doing, not what the House is doing, not what your mama didn't do and your daddy didn't do, not how your brothers and sisters treat you, not how your boss treats you on your job. You have a responsibility for your own life. And it's time you take the responsibility by the horns and stop blaming everybody else about the life that you are living. So in John chapter number 11, there's this story. If you've been in church, you've heard about it. Lazarus died. He's dead. But Jesus is in a town about 3 hours away. Jesus gets news that Lazarus, the one whom he loved, has died. And Jesus says to his disciples who are with him, hey, we're going to stay here 2 more days. Lazarus is dead, but we're going to chill right here for 2 more days. And the indication of the scripture, now listen, Jesus wanted to make sure that everybody knew that by the time he got to where Lazarus was, that Lazarus was good and dead. By the time that Jesus had got to Lazarus' tomb, Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. Ain't no mistaking that this brother is good and dead. As a matter of fact, the scriptures tell us that he began to stink. He was so dead. So Jesus eliminates any doubt that, Lazarus is going to be resuscitated. Like there's any more breath left in this brother's body. He's starting to decompose at this point. But when he gets to the tomb, they're crying and they're sobbing and everybody's losing their mind. They got Mary and Martha and they got these professional mourners everywhere. And they run up to Jesus and they say, Lord, if you would have only been here, our brother would not have died. Jesus says, man, take me to where you laid him. He goes, and watch this, in round about verse number 39, Jesus tells these people this. He says, pointing to the people who are following him to Lazarus' tomb, including Mary and Martha and all of these professional mourners. He says, you take away the stone. John 11, verse number 39. You take away the stone. Now, this stone, now remember, in Jesus' day, they didn't bury people 6 feet deep. They put them in tombs, honed out caves, and then put a rock in front of the cave to seal it, the tomb. So Lazarus' tomb was an ordinary man's tomb. It wasn't elaborate like Joseph of Arimathea, to whom they placed Jesus in, that had this large boulder that covered the entrance of his tomb. Lazarus was a common man, so he had a very small tomb. And so here's what he tells them to do. You go move this stone. This stone weighed anywhere from, I don't know, maybe 100 to 125 pounds, easily moved by humans. As opposed to Joseph of Arimathea's tomb, that stone that covered the entrance of that tomb would have weighed in excess of a couple of tons. So in Jesus' tomb, no man could move that stone. In Lazarus' tomb, men could move that stone. Jesus tells them, move the stone. There is a natural and personal responsibility that Jesus is giving to the people. There is a responsibility that I'm giving you. Your miracle is on the backside of your natural response, your natural duties and responsibilities. Jesus, man, y'all listen, this is some good stuff. Jesus tells them, I'm not expecting you to raise Lazarus. He's good and dead. He's been dead for 4 days. But what I need you to do is to move the stone. I'm responsible for the supernatural. You're responsible for the natural. But the supernatural blessings are contingent upon your natural responsibilities. So watch this. Jesus is saying to them clearly, as he's saying to you clearly, I'm not going to do what is natural for you to do. You want me to bless you with a job. Get out and look for a job first. What do you expect me to do? You want me to do something supernaturally, but you're not fulfilling your natural responsibilities? Some cancers, hypertension can be prevented. But now you want me to heal you supernaturally, but you got yourself into this position naturally. So Jesus tells them, you need to go move the stone. You need to move it. That's your responsibility. And watch this. When Jesus tells them about their natural responsibility, here's what Mary and Martha come in and say. Well, Jesus, by this time, he stinks. He's been in there 4 days. Because anytime, and we've made God this genie in a bottle, that, man, all I got to do is go to church and cry for a little bit and God's going to give me what I'm crying about. All I need to do is say the right words, rub the Bible in the right way, and out comes a blessing in my life. No, I don't know what God you think you serving. There is a natural responsibility that comes along with us. And if 2026 is going to be a year of success and progress and moving forward in your life, there are certain things that you got to do. You got to get yourself off of autopilot. You got to stop living by default and start living by design. Jesus tells them to go ahead and move the stone, but he never tells them to call Lazarus. Because calling a dead man that has been dead for 4 days is a supernatural act that man cannot do. God is responsible for the supernatural. Man is responsible for the natural. And it does not mean that God does not intervene into the natural affairs of man, but God has given man resources over the natural. And watch this, as they move the stone, the Bible then says this, Jesus says, Lazarus, come forward. You've done your natural part. Now I'm going to call the dead man that's been dead for 4 days back to life. Since you did what you were supposed to do, I will then in turn do what I'm supposed to do. Now watch this. Their miracle was contingent upon them performing their natural responsibilities. And so many times you name it and claim it, Christians don't do what you're supposed to do, but you keep asking God to do everything. And I'm like, what Bible are y'all reading? What Bible are y'all reading? You haven't done nothing and you expect God to do everything? That's insane, y'all. That's insane. He calls them out. And after he calls them out, the Bible says that Lazarus comes hopping out of the tomb in grave clothes. Now watch this. This now goes back to the natural responsibility. Jesus then tells them to take the grave clothes off of him. Now, don't you think if Jesus can raise a man from the dead that's been dead for 4 days, he could have raised him from the dead with the grave clothes off of him? Y'all remember when Jesus left the tomb and they walked in to see the empty tomb? Where were his grave clothes? In the tomb. But now that the miracle has been performed, Lazarus is back. There is now back unto the people that moved the stone a natural responsibility. So what does this all mean in regards to 2026? As everybody done made they crazy and foolish New Year's resolution, to which 90% of all New Year's resolutions are out of whack by week number 3. They don't last. They don't work. People do not stick to them. Natural responsibility. You play a part in this. You play a role in your success. And the life that you're living right now, I want you to hear these words. The life that you're hearing right now is the life that you want to live. You say, no, it's not. Yes, it is. The life that you have right now, the marriage that you have right now, the job that you have right now, the peace that you have or lack thereof, the prosperity that you have or the lack thereof is because of your natural responsibilities. Because God's not going to override your natural responsibilities. Come unto me, all those who are heavy laden and burdened down, and I will give you rest. The promise is that God will give you rest. The natural responsibility is to first come. You see how this works? And this is from Genesis to Revelation. Now, it doesn't mean that when I take a step, God takes 3 steps. That's not none of that foolishness. But there is a natural responsibility that God does not override because he set those things in order in Genesis chapter number 1. Let me ask you a question before we get out of here. Did God create birds before he created the sky? Did God create fish before he created the sea? No, it seems like God is a God of decency and in order. In order for there to be birds, there had to first be a sky. In order for there to be fish, there had to first be a place for the fish to swim in. So this natural order that God has put into place, there is a lot to our lives that depends on how we govern our lives. And so if you want to do well in 2026, do better with your natural responsibilities. So 2026, I'm excited about it. I hope that you are as well. I hope that you are terribly excited about what God is doing. I believe it's going to be a phenomenal year of growth. Right now, we're doing our master action plan, our maps with our staff, with the men of distinction, the king's daughters. We're showing them how to do a map, how to be intentional with your living, how to get out of financial debt, how to do something with your finances, how to be the best person that you know how to be, and how to live a life with some joy. You know, you are a Christian, but you struggle just like everybody else. And so you got God on the inside of you, but nothing about your life has changed. That's not a God that I want to propagate. So in 2026, I pray that you walk with us on Studio B. There's going to be an episode every single week, every single Monday at 9 a.m. It will drop on YouTube, social media, Facebook, and there'll even be some TikToks in there as well. More snippets than there will be full episodes, but be looking out for that. So if you're not subscribed to any one of those platforms under Studio B, make sure that you go to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Type in Studio B, the podcast, and follow us on all of those platforms. Listen, everybody, we love you. Thank y'all so very much for joining in with us 2026. I'm excited about it. I pray that you are as well. It's going to be an exciting year for those of us who lend our hands to this endeavor. Listen, be informed, be empowered. Studio B. We'll see you next time.